watched 20 episodes of the O.C.
I
48 hours.
And welcome back to another episode 12 of the Solo Moviegoers Club, a podcast in which me, Sean, and my daughter Kaya go see the same movie in different theaters alone, and then we can't read about the movie and we can't talk to anybody else about it until we meet here on this podcast. However, this is a radically different episode, something we've never done before. We are dipping back into television history, and we each watched a different TV show that we watched when we were young and made the other watch it. So, and part of this, we were going to see September 5th. For this week, I think we said that at the end of our last episode, but we realized it doesn't come out until this weekend, and so we can't. Yeah. So we had always wanted to do...
nothing else out.
Yeah, we've seen everything that's out. So
yeah.
This is what we wanted to do this at some point. We're just doing it a little earlier than we'd anticipated. So... Kaya, what did I make you watch?
Perfect. So I watched the O.C. and he watched
Gossip Girl.
And I think that it's kind of perfect because Gossip Girl's famous for all of their Thanksgiving episodes. I rewatch it every year around Thanksgiving, and apparently Thanksgiving episodes on the O.C. are pretty crazy too, which I've seen. So
yeah, and the O.C. is also famous. I'm not sure if it's in the first season or not, but Chrismica.
Yes, Chrismica. Of course.
Yeah, so yeah, these are shows. I mean, I think any good TV series has good holiday episodes. That's part of like the joy of watching TV.
Kind of like a weird one, I think. It's normally like a Christmas episode that you want to watch.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other shows that have good Thanksgiving episodes.
Okay. So
I didn't make it to the Gossip Girl Thanksgiving episode, by the way.
Jesus Christ, will you? Will you?
I will. I will. We were originally supposed to do this podcast tomorrow, but because life, we have to do it today, and so I didn't make it as far. I made it pretty far, but not as far as I'd wanted.
How many episodes?
My 3. But
I watched 20 episodes of the O.C. 48 hours.
I will go as deep as you, because I have to. I owe it to you. I need to go deeper on this binge. You're so mad right now. You're so mad.
I have literally spent so much time watching this.
The only thing is, the only way that I failed you is that in the time that I spent watching Max's Yacht Rock documentary, I could have watched 3 more episodes of Gossip Girl.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so I a little bit of context for this. So I would not have watched the O.C. at the time that it came out. So I was like looking back into when these shows came out. So the O.C. came out in 2003, and I was definitely like peak annoying college kid. This would have been right when I moved out of the small town that I grew up in to a college town that had a video store that had like an indie film section and a foreign film section, and I was that guy. So like insufferable, watching only movies that you had to go out of your way to see, which I thought made them better, which in some cases maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. And anyway, I would have like shunned anything that was popular culture at the time.
It's giving Dan Humphrey for sure.
Totally. Anyway, someone ended up leaving a DVD box set of the first season of the O.C. at my house. And this was prior to Netflix having streaming. So you just had whatever discs they would mail you, whatever DVDs that Netflix would mail you. I'd watched everything. It was a Sunday afternoon. I had nothing to do. These DVDs were just magically sitting on top of my TV in this box set, and I had to watch it. So I expected to sort of hate watch it, and threw the first episode on, and the first thing I noticed was the music was incredible. And I was weirdly drawn into the show. So I binged the first season of the O.C. on DVD, and then I had to go find the rest of it. And then I started watching it live as the new episodes come out. but what I was really
hilarious.
what I was really surprised by is after looking a little into how closely these two shows came out to one another, like I would have
Mhm.
thought the OC came out like 1998 or something. Not, I
Same.
thought I was coming in way later than I was. I maybe watched it in 2004, but and it came out in 2003. Gossip Girl came out in 2007. So I have a couple
Yeah.
things. First of all, I know exactly what the Hollywood executives who greenlit Gossip Girl were thinking. They're like, oh, there's this show, The O.C. It's about these rich kids on the West Coast, and then the one not rich kid who comes in and throws off their entire friend group. They're like, let's make this for the Upper East Side. We're going to do
Yeah.
exactly The O.C., but in New York with like a couple New York tweaks. But here's my biggest question: is 2007 like? When did you watch this? You didn't watch it when you were
I
5.
watched this when I was in sixth grade, and I've watched it every year pretty much since then, around Thanksgiving. But I literally finished the whole thing. That was a thing. So my friends and I, we would always, I had like a good girl group in middle school, and so we would pick a show to watch together, and we would have watch parties, and we would binge the entire show, and this was one of them. And it like it changed our lives. It was like the first time that I was really introduced to like stan culture. I hate to admit this, but like I made fan accounts for Gossip Girl
I
and
I didn't know
I was
this.
obsessed. I was so obsessed. I used to make video edits of Gossip Girl. It was really it was a big
I
part of my life.
I remember Mumsy and I stumbling across some of your YouTube videos during this era for
No, but
sure.
these were not those. These were like completely different. I was anonymous. I was a fan account. That's crazy.
Where can I find this
I think
historical
I
record?
deleted it. I think I deleted
Okay.
it.
Wait,
But
what did we think you were doing while you were doing that? You had this whole double life, this Gossip Girl double life on the internet.
I was just older kid, new kid in the family atlas. I had to find some outlet.
It was Gossip Girl fan culture.
It was Gossip Girl and Pretty Little Liars.
I remember Pretty Little Liars. I remember you being into these shows. I didn't know it went that far.
No, it was like fully insane obsession level. Like especially with the couples. It's like I was at that age where I was like really into the ships from each show. So
Uh-huh.
like Chuck and Blair, Nate and Serena, and then Pretty Little Liars too. There were a bunch, but it was like that was the thing, and those were like the edits that I made. So
Wow. So Chuck
I
is one of
hate
the
to admit
worst
it.
characters I've ever seen on television.
You don't even know. I want you. Okay. I need you to finish this show. Like, fully watch the entire thing. You have to, because Chuck becomes my favorite character.
He's
Like,
irredeemable in the
you
first
think
couple of
that.
episodes.
You're 3 episodes in. You are 3 episodes in. That's nothing in the grand scheme of this show. You will love Chuck. You will.
I
I swear.
that there's no
Please,
way. There's
please,
no way.
please. Like, my dream here is when B is like in middle school, high school, we can all sit down and we can
B is 7
well,
right now for
yeah.
context.
Yeah. We can sit down and watch the show with her. And I think she would love it. I think it's right up her alley.
Okay. I mean, it's definitely up. It's definitely if she keeps heading the direction she's heading personality wise, this will
Hmm.
definitely be up her alley. but
But it's
but
crazy because it's like nothing like I was. Like, I was not into that kind of thing, but
you weren't. That's
not
why
me.
this is why this is so surprising. That's why
Yeah.
your online
My
Gossip
lore.
Girl double life
Hmm.
is so surprising. Do you think the fact that there is like clearly this mole who's living this double life on the show made you want to do that more? Like, were you by doing that were you like your own Gossip
I
Girl?
there were a lot of shows that were like similar for me like that. This is like way later on, but like we know Victorious and like Nickelodeon shows with like the pair phone and they had like certain social media things on there. Like it was that. But I think because I grew up a little bit later as like a teenager than the like website blog era, like that kind of passed. So
Mm-hmm.
it felt like old to me when I was watching it.
Right, because it wasn't
Even
like
though
on a Tumblr.
yeah, no, like I think exactly it was Tumblr. I think like one of the last seasons of Gossip Girl came out when I was like I probably could have watched it live.
But you
I'm
didn't. You
gonna
don't
look it
know if
up.
you did.
Yeah, I want to look it up when it ended.
But this is interesting. So I think this is where we can make this conversation super relevant because I think most of the people who are listening to this probably are wondering why we're talking about the OC and Gossip Girl
2012. Yeah.
2012. I think that movies have been like the pinnacle of culture for the past century, right? It's like movies dominate the cultural conversation. I think in my mind, movies are the ultimate art form because they combine the written word, performance, fashion, art, photography, music, all of that comes together into what is ultimately a film. Like all the arts have to be working in unison to try to create a better whole than the parts. And that's what I love about it. And it's you see it on a big screen and then you talk about it after. That's the reason we do this podcast because we love movies, we love movie culture. But TV culture has an important place in pop culture too, and it's a very different place. It's not going into a dark room for 2 hours and experiencing an entire story, and that story sticks with you. It's the comfort food of entertainment, and I think it is that. It's like that's why we mentioned the holiday episodes. Like those holiday episodes become a part of your holidays. There's
Duh.
like you get to live with those characters for such a
Hmm.
long period of time and really deeply connect with them. It's just a different animal. And what's funny about it, I was thinking about this a lot when thinking about coming out of my pretentiousness and being able to thoroughly like I didn't ironically watch or enjoy the OC. Like I dug the show. I was super
Hmm.
into it. And I still looking at it now can see like I think and this is a real problem within I mean we look at Letterboxd a lot and it's hilarious and it's lots of fun, but Letterboxd is like the ultimate example of this huge element of movie culture and art culture of all kinds where people think it's like you can express your sophistication by just dumping on things. And
Hmm.
like not liking things doesn't make you sophisticated. Not liking things doesn't mean you're smart. Not liking things doesn't mean you actually have an opinion. It just means you can
Yeah.
say something sucks. And I think that shows like this that can give people a lot of joy that go from being guilty pleasures, which I don't really like that term guilty pleasure. Like what's guilty pleasure? Like why is it any more guilty for me to like the OC than like a Fellini film?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I want someone to explain this to me. It's just opinion. It's just taste.
Yeah.
It's whatever you enjoy. And isn't that the goal of all of this? Is it gives you an experience. And granted, yes, some films are really weighty and they make you think about the things that mean something in life. And some are just fun and funny.
Hmm.
And those have their place in the world too. And I think the same with TV. Like we're coming out of this era of what, prestige television. Like
Yeah.
everything has to be Sopranos. Everything has to be Breaking Bad. It's like there's these couple of shows that we hold up, and I think as we've seen recently, like the show Suits, which I've
Uh-huh.
never watched, has been like this
Yeah.
giant hit on Netflix, and I think the reason why is that there is totally a valid place in society and in culture for comfort food television.
Yeah, I love it. Like to me, it really just reminds me of my childhood because I spent so much time binge watching, and that's like how I connected with a lot of my friends. Like we would watch like Toddlers and Tiaras and like Dance Moms and Gossip Girl, and we would just talk about it all day at school. And like that was how we related.
I think that more people should publicly admit their guilty pleasures and we should remove the
Yeah.
guilt from it and that you should be able to be somebody who does enjoy their Criterion subscription as much as they enjoy a show like Gossip Girl or the OC.
Exactly. Perfect
I,
mix of both.
it really is. I guess one would say high and low culture, but I don't even like those terms. It's all just culture.
Hmm.
there's a couple things. Can I give you a couple like gut reactions to Gossip Girl, and then you can give me your gut reactions to the OC?
Yeah.
We're not even going to bother with plots. Okay, one is a show about rich
No,
kids on
you
the
know what
East
it's
Coast.
about.
One's a show about
Yeah.
rich kids on the West Coast. That's it. And then there's a bad boy who always in both of these, you've got Ryan Atwood in the OC punching
Yeah.
people all the time, and then and
Uh-huh.
then you've got what's his name, and Dan Humphrey.
Yeah.
And it's always like the kid who comes from like a slightly lower socioeconomic status is always the one that's hitting
The gag
everybody, but
is,
always justified.
yeah, the gag is that he lives in a beautiful place in Brooklyn that's like probably like people looked it up. It's like $2 million house, whatever. It's like, and he's the poor kid.
And his
But
dad
it's
was a
really
rock
funny.
star in the 90s. Like
Yes,
when
yes.
rock stars made a ton of money.
Uh-huh. Well,
Uh,
like the reason why the I always forget his name. I think it's Chase Crawford. I'm not sure. He plays Nate. He was just doing an interview and he was talking about the fact that like the reason why he did Gossip Girl is because he wanted to be on the OC so bad. So,
no way.
mhm.
That's really funny. I was noticing the similarities. I'll get back to what I was talking about in a second. But like,
Uh-huh.
okay, so just in terms of looks, I feel like they cast people to like match up against each other in Gossip Girl based on the casting in the OC. So there's like Blake Lively and Misha Barton, just similar like blonde women, and then Leighton Meester and Rachel Bilson. There's a similarity there. Like I can
Mhm.
see like they're not terribly dissimilar. And then Penn Badgley and Adam Brody actually look a lot alike. And
Like their demeanor too. Like I don't know.
yeah,
Just
but it's
yeah.
odd is that Penn Badgley plays like the Ben McKenzie Ryan Atwood character. So
Yeah.
it's slightly different, but there's some like yes, Gossip Girl was definitely trying to capitalize on the success of the OC in like
Hmm.
every imaginable way. And that's really funny that that actor did this show because he liked the other show.
Yeah.
But so my first like these are the first things I thought upon watching it. Amazing music, which you had told me about.
Hmm.
One thing I wasn't expecting, the phones. We live in a monoculture of cell phones right now where everybody has an iPhone for the most part. And you don't really see even like other phones kind of look like iPhones. But like a world where people have Motorola Razors along with sidekicks, along with these different things, for some reason felt weirdly more like the future. Like even though it was very weird and
Yeah.
clunky and like you couldn't text your friends unless they had the same kind of phone as you, it was like horrible.
Uh-huh.
But I want to go back to cell phone diversity because it made the world look cool.
Yeah.
Seeing New York is really cool. The fact that they filmed a show in New York with all these like
Yeah.
real New York buildings and hotels and things, it's incredible. It gives the film so much
Hmm.
production value. It doesn't feel like every other TV show that's just shot on a stage somewhere in Burbank and then they, throw a New York skyline out the window. It was interesting because I was very cognizant of the network TV-ness of it. Like there's a certain
Really?
feel to network TV shows. Yeah, there's a certain feel to it. And I guess it's the CW. It's not like a network, but this, you know what I mean? Like to
Hmm.
a long running television. Like television has a feel that we got away from with all the prestige TV that is at times frustrating because like sometimes I couldn't believe how slow the edits were. And I was like, come on, just cut to the next shot. Like, I know they're trying to walk up the stairs. You don't need to show me them, like, 6 shots of them walking up the stairs. Just, like, get to the point. But then I realized that part of that feel is the comfort foodness of it. I
Yeah.
didn't say that very articulately, but you know what I mean. There's
Yeah.
that feel. I know what I'm settling into. I know I'm settling into a
Hmm.
comfort food show, and I want it to feel that way.
Yeah.
Uh, so what the show is that it gives you access to a world that you'll never have access to, or that probably doesn't really exist in exactly this way. It makes it super scandalous, and then the outsiders are our way into it. That's kind
Hmm.
of both of these shows. But here's where this one gets weird. The OC, they felt like real kids to me. Like they were
Yeah.
they were like right like Seth is like a comic book nerd, and like they were doing real kid stuff.
Yeah.
The kids in Gossip Girl act like they're like 35 years old. Like, why are they drinking martinis,
I
having these parties, dressing this way?
I still watch it and I feel like they're high school kids. Like this is the only time where I've ever felt that way.
I don't. I
I feel
feel
like the people on the OC seem really old, which is
they
so odd.
I mean, this is a thing with all high school shows. The
Yeah,
kids
of course.
always look old, but they act old in Gossip Girl to me. There's like this highly defined social pecking order. There's all these things
Yeah.
that I don't find believable for high school kids. The other thing is that I thought was really interesting is that yes, this show
It's so
is
believable. It is.
so this show comes out at an interesting time. It comes out in 2007, which is right before the 2008 market crash, which is right before Occupy Wall Street, which is essentially this year is the last year when Americans still thought that extreme wealth was aspirational,
Uh-huh.
right? Shortly after this, it's eat the rich, occupy Wall Street, destroy the system, burn it all down, like
Hmm.
Zuccotti Park. It's all of that. That becomes the dominant culture. This show came out at a time when people would watch this in a way that people did from like the 1930s until 2007. This is the way that America looked at the ultra wealthy. And then the year after this show comes out, it's like even with
That's so
secession,
true.
which is set obviously in a world of extreme wealth, it's just ripping those people and their culture and their society to shreds. And
Hmm.
I I just think I don't know. That's just I would be curious to know if the show changes at all as it goes on, or if it stays true to what it was, and they were just kind of like tap dancing around the fact that people weren't looking at wealth that way anymore.
I mean, it's still definitely, you need to watch the whole thing. I'm just telling you right
I
now,
know.
you have to. There are a lot of parts where there's like a lot of money scandals and stuff throughout, and maybe that has something to do with it. Um, and that's like a really good story arc for at least one of the characters and like the family dynamics. But it pretty much stays true to like that lifestyle for all of them.
Wealth worship.
Yeah.
It's um I like that both shows have like a cool soulful dad.
I
There's
know. Oh my God. Rufus and Sandy, they're like very similar. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about was like, I feel like, even in Gossip Girl, maybe this is like so random, but I feel like all of the parents in TV shows that I grew up watching have like very like bad relationships and there's a lot of turmoil. But from so far, the 20 episodes or so that I got into the OC, Sandy, or the Coens or whatever, like they have a good relationship. And I like the whole time I've been waiting for something bad to happen to them. I don't know if it will, but
yeah, their relationship gets tested at one point, but yeah, the this is a dated term, but I would say early OC seasons Cohen's are relationship goals. That
yes.
it's
Yes.
yeah, but Sandy Cohen for me has always been one of the all-time underrated TV dads. It's like
Yeah.
Peter Gallagher was an actor who I'd always loved, and so that was the first moment that I realized the OC wasn't going to be the show that I could hate watch that I thought it was going to be. Is when his face
Uh-huh.
showed up, and I was like, "Oh, this dude rules," and and he doesn't disappoint.
Yeah, the whole time I'm like, especially for the first couple of episodes, I was thinking to myself, like, what is he going to do to like mess up the way that I feel about this character? But he's just the best character.
So the way that I responded to the very 2007-ness of Gossip Girl, did you have any like immediate gut reactions to the 2003-ness of the OC?
Definitely the fashion. That was like the main thing. I kept like having to do a lot of double takes on the fashion, to be honest with you, because it's just stuff I haven't seen in a long time. With summer specifically. And I really enjoyed that because I feel like now the clothes in TV shows just don't feel super realistic, but they kind of did dress like the way kids or like teenagers dressed in that time.
So funny you bring
And
that
I
up.
also, I will say, I feel like there's a lot more phones in the OC. Even though Gossip Girl is centered around them looking at Blast and stuff, like it doesn't feel like there's a lot of phone talk. And that's what I liked about Gossip Girl.
That there wasn't phone talk.
Yeah. It's like
there's a
not a
lot of
huge part.
texting. They're busting out their phone. Well,
There
yeah,
is.
they're going on the website and texting each other, I guess. And then yeah, there's quite a bit of texting. I think you'd be surprised if you went back and watched.
I think it's because I literally just did. I think it's because I think it's because it's centered around Gossip Girl rather than like some other form of communication, I guess. It's like a character. The phone is a character in my head.
Okay, I'll buy that. So I can't. I wish I could remember. I just read an article with a costume designer who had designed the costumes. I'll think of it from a show of that era, no, from a movie of that era,
Uh-huh.
of like the mid 2000s, and how different it used to be. So the that's the last time period where people bought their clothes at the mall.
Yeah.
And it was also the last time period where there were like little regional things. So
Hmm.
people dress different regionally. I mean, this still is kind of a thing. Like, sure, the people in Manhattan dress different than the people in Los Angeles. The people in certain parts of Los Angeles dress different than the people in other parts of Los Angeles. That's a
Yeah.
thing to an extent. But if you look largely around the country, it's weird because I would say that because everybody's just ordering their clothes online, everybody has access to the same things. So you'll see a lot of similarities, but also everybody's fashion has become so nicheified. So at one point, everyone has access to the same things, but they're doing something slightly different with it. And but I think in the OC, it doesn't work in Gossip Girl because it's all like there is a heavy fashion element to the show,
Yeah.
and so that's part of like the aspirational wealth aspect of it is the expensive designer clothes,
Yeah.
whereas the OC, like, these are characters who would be buying their clothes at the mall, and so it feels
Yeah.
like that. The OC really looks like the way people dressed in 2003.
Yeah, I love it. Like in Gossip Girl, they're like shopping on Fifth Avenue, going to all of these designer stores, which is a big part of it. Like the designer archive on that show is like crazy. But in the OC, there are times when they're like in the mall, and I love it. I love
Yeah,
watching that.
and I guess that's why it feels more like kids really live. Like, I do not think even in the private school, elite private school world of the Upper East Side, I don't think the kids are living that way. I
This
think their
exists.
lives are
This
way
exists. I
more
swear to
normal.
God. No. No.
Where's the proof? I want receipts.
Think of like kids like Sofia Coppola's daughter or something. Like think about that. That exists.
We're
They
gonna
charter
insert that clip.
helicopters and jets or whatever. Yeah.
Make vodka sauce pasta with me because I'm grounded. Because I tried to charter a helicopter from New York to Maryland on my dad's credit card because I wanted to have dinner with my girlfriend. Okay, let's get started.
No, I think it totally exists.
It might, but I think it's more normal. I don't think like the extreme focus on social status within this tiny insular community just seems so wild. It almost seems like something that's taken out of like I don't know, a 1600s novel, right?
Yeah.
This feels like Elizabethan England. Like, this doesn't
I don't
feel
know though.
like the like mid 2000s anywhere.
To me it feels a little bit like there are aspects of it like the school stuff, the partying stuff that is real and that feels super accurate to me. But yeah, obviously, I mean, there's parts of it that are exaggerated for sure.
Yeah. What's your favorite part of the OC?
It's kind of crazy because the whole thing is centered around dating, I feel like, in relationships. And Gossip Girl is very different. So I'm surprised that I actually like it because that sort of conflict is kind of like really annoying to me, especially in like TV shows. But yeah, I think I don't know. I just I it's just such it seems like a show that I would genuinely like, but it's actually not. Like I feel like this is not something that I would have picked. I like you have often asked me to watch this, so has mommy, and I just never wanted to watch it because it sounded really boring. But it's not. There's just like there's something
I
about
mean,
it.
they are literally the same show for slightly different role for very different cultures. One,
Yeah.
it's just the same show, different coasts. And even like
I
to the
think,
music that they use, like both
I
shows
mean,
use like a mix of indie and pop music in a really
yeah.
interesting way that makes it feel. The music does make it feel more real in both cases because it feels like
Yeah.
those would be the soundtracks to these characters' lives.
But I will say, I think that I really did enjoy Gossip Girl so much was because I related to different characters a lot in different ways, like all of them. The OC, I don't really relate to any of the characters at all, but I think that might be also why I like it. It's because it's like something out of my world, maybe.
And maybe I didn't make it deep enough into it, but I definitely
No, you didn't.
relate more to the OC characters than to the Gossip Girl characters.
Oh my God. Just wait. Just please, please, please finish it. I swear to God. Just like watch an
I
episode or
think
two a night.
I think part of the appeal to Gossip Girls, the characters aren't relatable. That this is this thing, this weird world. It's almost like watching a period piece. Like this is how people lived then, but it's
Yeah.
instead it's like oh this is how people live there. But I guess yes, you
Yeah.
can still ultimately there's a relatability in the characters' journeys. You can see yourself reflected in them
It's so
in some
timeless
way.
too. Like people still talk about it. Like there's a line that Serena always says, and I always feel it so much. She's like, I gotta go. And like the way she says it is so dramatic and funny. And it's like,
Actually, there's somewhere I have to go. You're leaving? I'm sorry, but I have to go. In fact, I have to go.
Wait, where?
And I love you, but I have to go. Thank you. All right, I have to go. There you are. I have to go now. I'll call you later.
I don't know. Maybe it's like that too. Like the pop culture element of it still being like such a big part of history, in my opinion. Like in the Gossip Girl, the like reboot or whatever with a whole different cast came out, and like it was trying to do that, but it just didn't work. Like the exact same thing. And I'm like, I was always thinking, like, why did it not work? I just think it's the characters
Did it not work on a like cultural level, or did it just not work for you?
for everyone. No one liked it. And it
Interesting.
was, it's not like it was trying to be Gossip Girl again. It was just like there's a Gossip Girl. It follows a school, different students. So in theory, it seems like it would be a great idea, but there was just something about it that didn't work.
Yeah, interesting. Just probably like because of the time that it. No, I guess because they were made so closely to one another. But I don't believe there was ever an attempt to do a reboot of the OC. But what did follow it very closely was Laguna Beach, and all of those
Oh yeah.
spin-off reality shows that are just reality OC, right? Or The Hills. Was that the first one? Or
I
was it
think
Laguna
so.
Beach or The Hills?
I don't know. I don't know. But I did think that the OC was the reality show when you first said it to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're all the same in my head.
I only watched one episode of The Hills. I've never watched Laguna Beach, but I watched it because there was like a cinematographer whose work I was looking at for something. Have you ever seen the way that show shoots LA?
No.
It's beautiful. You should look it up. Just look up The Hills LA cinematography. It's
Okay.
incredible. Like they shoot it at the best times. They clearly have a budget. This is before drones, and so it's
Oh,
like real
really?
helicopter shots.
Helicopters? That's so
Yeah.
cool.
It's so like lush and beautiful the way they make it look.
Yeah.
But I yeah, I feel like I guess my theory was going to be they didn't attempt to reboot the OC because they just made those reality shows. But if that would have been the case, then or maybe that reality TV era was over by the time Gossip Girl wrapped. But I actually think that like I was looking into it, people didn't like the OC as much as people like Gossip Girl. Like the reviews are
Yeah.
much worse,
I
and I
definitely think
think
Gossip
it
Girl is better, but
yeah. Who knows, man? I mean, maybe I was just like at a time and place
you
where
needed it.
the OC hit me. Yeah, I needed it. Well,
Sometimes
I
you need
will
that in
say
your life.
I did move from Michigan to California shortly after watching it. How good is the theme song?
I was just going to say that. It's so good. I like looked it up to see if it's like a real song. It's not. Like it's specifically made for that.
It was?
So, yeah.
I didn't know that because who is it? It's Phantom Planet?
I'm pretty sure it was specifically made for that show.
Um,
I couldn't find it anywhere except for like
do
it's
you know
not.
who was in Phantom Planet?
No.
Jason Schwartzman,
Why
who
is he everywhere? Like he's been in everything.
who is a Coppola, and he
I know.
also he also has what, Coconut Records?
Yes.
Does
So good.
everything somehow tie back to the Coppolas?
It must.
This is the second Coppola reference we've had on this episode.
I know. We referenced last week too,
Mumsy
I
is
think.
I was like
Dancing?
trying to figure out what was going on. She's dancing slash filming
Oh.
me.
No, we mentioned that last week too. I don't remember
Yeah,
why.
there
Old
could be
people.
so old people.
Yeah.
So there, oh yeah, Francis Ford Coppola and Ridley
Yeah.
Scott. So there's, but I would have expected. It's weird. I would have expected, for like Francis Ford Coppola coming up on a Gladiator podcast makes sense. I would not think that Coppola's coming up on a OC Gossip Girl double header podcast would make sense, but it actually makes more sense since literally there's a Coppola involved with the OC.
Yeah.
There's got to be a conspiracy theory where, like, you know how there's like conspiracy theories about, I don't know whether it's the Rothschilds, like one of these other families controlling everything. It's like an Illuminati type of thing. Those are all those conspiracy theories are tied up in the same
Yeah.
thing, like a small elite group of people holding power over the whole world.
Yeah.
Coppola's controlling the entertainment industry completely. They've got their hands in
Totally.
everything. I don't think that's a conspiracy theory. I think that's a reality.
Mm-hmm. I
Let's dive
recently
into
just
it.
found out no, the she's married. I think she's still married to the singer from Phoenix, which is crazy, and I just found that out.
Yeah, I don't know how you didn't know that.
I don't know. How am I supposed to know that? That's so random.
I don't think that it is random, but
Controlling music, controlling movies, media, TikTok
everything.
now.
So there's lots of like racist tropes, like anti-Semitic tropes about like the media being controlled by Jews, and I
Yeah.
just want to let
Oh,
all
you're
of
taking
those
it
like
there.
those racist conspiracy theorists know
Oh my
they've got it
God.
all wrong. There is someone controlling all media, but it's actually just the Coppolas. So
Yeah.
you can point your misdirected anger in a totally different direction.
Stop thinking Beyonce in your speeches. Start thinking them.
Wait, what is that? Who's thanking Beyonce?
You know the Beyonce conspiracy theory?
No.
Oh my
Illuminate me.
God. Well, like the Illuminati, obviously. There's like a lot of lore with like Kanye and stuff and like Diddy and like Beyonce and Jay-Z being involved and like they don't want to be exposed or like artists don't want to be exposed during their like acceptance speeches, like if they beat Beyonce or something, so they thank Beyonce. Jojo Siwa just did it as like a joke. She's like, if you know, you know, thank you, Beyonce, because it's like a huge conspiracy theory. Like, whatever.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna test this out. If I ever win anything, I'm gonna thank Francis Ford Coppola.
No, literally do that because like there, you know the Kanye thing where he's like, I'm gonna let you finish, but with Taylor, people are like, he was protecting Taylor Swift the whole time. Like he didn't want her to be a target. So he went up during her speech to thank Beyonce for her.
This is incredible.
How did you not know this? This is like crazy.
I don't know. We talked last week. There's like internet things I know, things I don't know. I only know what I actively seek out because I don't have social media. So like things don't come to me unless someone sends it to me or I look for it.
Okay. I'll have to send it you conspiracy theories.
Yeah,
When
give
I
me
see
more.
them. There's a lot. There's a lot.
What else? Which character, if we're trying to keep this as on brand for a podcast as possible, which character from the OC would you want to be?
Sandy.
Yeah.
I like truly I don't know if I like any of them. They're all kind of like I love the show, but they all have really bad qualities. Like they all kind of suck.
Right. In what way?
Like Summer's annoying. I like don't like her. Seth, he's like kind of bad with women, kind of a jerk, whatever. There's like all the parents are messed up. I just
Yeah.
there's like even Ryan I don't like.
He's just fighting people all the time.
Like, yeah, like even when he's like I think he has too much of like a hero arc. Like him saving everyone and then him like not like he saves everyone, okay? And then he doesn't like go out of the way to explain himself because he doesn't care and he just wants to be nonchalant about it. Like getting accepted into like their like school and stuff. Like he jumped out of the test room and he risked it all just for this girl, but like he won't explain to the teacher, he won't explain to his parents this. He just like lets things go and I don't like that. He's
Yeah,
too
that's just to create
nonchalant.
conflict. I love that you
I
watched 20 episodes in 48 hours. That's insane.
maybe 21, I don't know. There's a lot.
That is so crazy.
I
That's
stayed
really
up so late.
impressive.
I used to binge watch literally when I was in middle school and high school, my summers would just be me binge watching. I haven't done that since. Like it's been at least 5 years since I've binge watched something. No,
No,
maybe
not
I
true.
did that.
Not
I
true.
did that in Mexico.
We both binge watched him crazy.
But that's like only 4 episodes. I'm talking like network TV, eight
Okay.
seasons, 15 episodes a season at least. Like I would do that in like 3 days. I probably could have finished the OC if I was back then, like in high school. I would have finished it in 48 hours if
Yeah,
that's
that's
possible.
the OC was maybe the second thing I ever binge watched. The first was Sopranos.
Yeah.
I somehow got my hands on the first season. It was always like the box set of the first season of something that would get me into it. And I got the first season of Sopranos, and I finished it in a day, and I had to get the second season. I was
Yeah.
like, I couldn't rest, so I watched the second season the next day. And it was
So
only
funny.
on the second season at that point, so the third hadn't yet aired. And then the
I think
OC
I
was
got
the
that
box
from
set.
you.
You definitely
You and
what
mommy.
the
Binge watching.
yeah, binge watching. Bro, the worst binge watch ever.
Lost.
Unbelievable. Yeah, we came into Lost so late. And I got Mumsy into it, so I binged watched
Mommy got
Lost.
me into it. I was way too young to be watching Lost, and that was my favorite.
Because we had the complete series on DVD
Yeah.
that I got her for, I don't know, her birthday or something.
Yeah, I'll never forget that box set.
That was Lost was the first thing that I ever binge watched streaming. And
Okay.
so this would have been pre House of Cards, I think, because I remember binge watching House of Cards, but it was, I don't even think it was Netflix that Lost was on that I binge watched it. I think it was
No.
Hulu.
Yeah, it was like I remember it was hard to get.
Yeah, like a very early clunky Hulu, and it was
Yes.
like figuring out streaming when it first started was so difficult. It was
Yes.
not easy. You had to have the perfect internet connection. It didn't really work that well. You had to like navigate through this maze of ads, and you had to have I believe this is true. We can fact check me on it later. I think you had to have a TV subscription. Like I think you needed to
Yes,
have. That's accurate.
You also had. I'm pretty sure you had to have cable, and then you had to have the subscription.
Right.
So weird.
And I think I used my parents' login to get onto Hulu. I was a very early cord cutter.
So good. No, that's like my favorite thing to do with the family. We always find a good show to watch all together.
It's fun. Binge watching with your family. And you can only do that with comfort food type shows.
This is true.
It's very true. Heroes. I binge watched Heroes too. Oh, I should have sent you. There's so many shows I should have sent you on. Heroes, I loved. One that I tried to rewatch recently was Entourage. Mm-hmm. And the like outrageous level of misogyny and homophobia in the very first episode is like this show could never be made like this today. It's unbelievable. You should watch it. Actually watch the first episode and tally up how many things would get the people making this show canceled today
Okay,
if they put it
remind me.
in a single season. It's unreal.
I'll watch it.
It
That's
was
hilarious.
it was shocking to me. What's funny is that I have it's very, very, very hard to offend me. There's like a very few little things that do. But even watching this show, I was like, oof.
Yeah.
Like this did not age well. And I can
Yeah.
handle stuff that doesn't age well. That one, I don't know. There's something about the way that it's executed in Entourage that is really shocking.
Yeah.
So what
feel
else?
like.
What I'm gonna
Well,
send
who's the
you.
character you want to be?
I feel like it's what's his name starts with an R. The Humphrey, the dad,
Rufus? Rufus
Rufus.
Humphrey.
Rufus Humphrey.
Heartthrob. Yeah.
So he's
He's a fan
actually
fave.
vibe wise, he's like a slightly less dark version of David Duchovny's character in Californication, which
Okay. I've never seen.
Californication is an interesting one. It's like it's about a writer who he's a
Uh-huh.
novelist. He's a very like serious New York novelist. You can tell he's a serious New York novelist versus a Hollywood guy because he wears all black all the time.
Hmm.
And he what happens his movie gets made into or his book gets made into a TV show
Uh-huh.
and he moves out to LA with his family and his family ends up falling apart and sort of California rips his New York family to shreds. Or maybe he
Hmm.
wasn't even New York. Maybe he was like a Seattle guy who then went to New York. Either way, he's from like a gloomy, serious city and comes to
Yeah.
LA and it destroys his family. But what is it? It's the book he wrote was called some. It's not exactly this, but it's close to this. I think the book is called "God Hates Us All," and the movie that they end up making out of it is called like a crazy little thing called love.
Oh my God.
It's the most hilarious example of how it's like Hollywood perverts things. But yeah, that his vibe is very similar to
Hmm.
that character, and I liked that character a lot. So there was like some sort of emotional transference, even though it was only a couple episodes.
Yeah.
What guilty pleasure? I think we should do this. We should do like once every 12 episodes. Let's do guilty pleasures,
Every
which we're not,
dozen.
which
Okay.
we don't feel guilty about anymore.
No.
We want the same way we want to remove the stigma of seeing movies in theaters alone. We want to remove the stigma of guilty pleasures. You should fly your guilty pleasures flag very, very loud.
Yeah.
That's a mixed
True.
metaphor. Is that a mixed metaphor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Freak flag.
Yeah, it's just let your freak flag fly, not fly it loud. You
Yeah.
can't fly a flag loud. They don't make any
No.
noise, except for like a ripple sometimes in the
Yeah.
wind.
Yeah, the
But
flap.
so this episode is very different from others, but we'll do this like every dozen. If you guys dig it, let us know. What else did we want to cover today?
I guess we're not talking about our top 10 movies because you didn't
Fine.
prepare.
You know what? I did prepare. If you want the honest truth about, oh, by the way, I have a note here of something I want to mention because people might call me out on this. The shows that I said that no show has worshipped wealth since this show since 2008, but I believe I haven't watched it yet. I believe that Yellowstone
Oh,
is about
really?
like the ultra wealthy out west,
Okay.
rancher wealth, a whole different type of wealth, very
Yeah,
different.
I think you're wrong. I think there's a lot of shows like that.
Really? I
Yeah.
don't think so. I don't think that's a thing. I don't think people do that anymore.
Okay.
Okay, so I couldn't narrow it down um to 10.
I had a very hard time narrowing it down to
And
10,
even
but
then, I feel like this is incomplete. I feel like there are things
it
on
is
here.
incomplete.
I feel like there are things on here that shouldn't be, and I feel like I'm missing some
Hmm.
things that should definitely be there. But why don't you let yours rip first, then I'll go into mine, and if we have to kill a couple, we will.
Okay. Here's the thing, though. I will say, like, I am a certified Minion lover. Okay. I wish I could put every single Minion Despicable Me movie on there because it's absolutely the best, but I decided not to. So that's an honorable mention, and so is Ratatouille. Those are honorable.
Oh, Ratatouille
Just
didn't make your top 10? This is
it's
shocking
11.
to
It's
me.
11. It's 11.
Oh,
It's
wow.
11.
Okay. Wow, I'm already surprised. I don't know what lies ahead of me
No, should I
on
start
this
with 10?
cinematic journey. Yeah, go.
Okay.
Mine
So
aren't in order, but
yeah, I guess mine aren't in order, but I'll start with the bottom one. Should I like explain or just go through it?
go through it and then we'll dive into some. Or if something really shocks me, I'll
Okay.
probably scream.
Okay, so I have 10 is Casablanca. The 9 is 10 Things I Hate About You. 8 is The Prestige. 7 is Some Kind of Heaven. Then I have Fallen Angels. and then I have Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and then Ascension, Edward Scissorhands, Napoleon Dynamite, and La Haine.
Okay. That's a solid list. I feel like no major surprises there for me,
Yeah.
except I would have expected you to swap. I would say 10 Things I Hate About You. I would have thought that would be the honorable mention, and Ratatouille would have been on the list. I'm shook. Officially
Yeah,
shook
no.
over this exclusion of Ratatouille. I've already talked about
Ratatouille was my
Ratatouille way
childhood.
more. I've already talked about Ratatouille way more than 10 Things I Hate About You.
Well, like when mommy and I used to come over, that was like the only kids movie that you had in your parents' basement, and that's what we would watch literally every time that I saw you. I've seen that movie a million times, like not even exaggerating. Every time I saw you, we would watch Ratatouille.
Do you want to know the best part about watching that movie?
What?
In my parents' basement? Do you know
What?
what kind of DVD player they had?
Blu-ray?
A 200 disc DVD changer. You could
Oh,
put
that's
200
crazy.
discs in it. So it was like before streaming, you would want access to all these movies, and God forbid you have to pop the disc out and put another one in and go to your like
Yeah.
cabinet full of DVDs. So you would put 200 in, and then it had like this cataloging system where you had to search through them. It was wild.
I do
And
remember searching for it. I didn't understand that.
this was like something that my dad would do. Like a new technology would come out and he would either completely ignore it or he would be the first person to get it. So at the time that he bought this 200 disc changer, there weren't 200 DVDs. Like there weren't 200
Yeah.
movies out on DVD.
Yeah.
So I remember it came with 5 DVDs and we had all these weird movies. I have seen like this I'm sure you've seen all of these movies, but this Harrison Ford movie, was it 6 Days, 7 Nights?
I don't know.
6 Nights, 7 Days, something like that. It's Anne Heche and Harrison Ford in this like really weird action adventure romantic comedy movie. I would never have seen that movie if it weren't for the fact that it happened to come out on DVD when we happened to get this giant DVD changer. What else? There's a handful of others, but I should go back. I'm sure my parents probably owned 15 DVDs and 5 of them were those that came with
Yeah.
that system.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I don't know how many I have here. It's probably like 13.
Okay, whatever. I could have put 13, but go ahead.
Okay. So, I've got A Clockwork Orange, which I really had to decide. I only want to have, which is funny. I consider Kubrick to be one of my favorite filmmakers, but I felt weird having 2 Kubrick movies on. But I have 2 Ridley Scott movies.
I have 2 Wong Kar-wai, so
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go in the order I wrote them down here. I've got Breathless, Goodfellas, Clockwork Orange, Edward Scissorhands, our only crossover, Royal Tenenbaums, The Terminator. I had a very hard time deciding between Terminator 1 and Terminator 2. I think Terminator 2 is more enjoyable, but Terminator 1 for me is the greatest example ever of a relatively small movie that can have a huge impact and explore huge ideas. Like Terminator 1, I don't know if you've seen Terminator recently. It's like a small slasher movie. It's on the scale of like of Halloween, but it's dealing with AI and an AI-driven apocalypse, and it creates this huge world. But it's a straight up slasher. It's a horror movie, whereas T2 and the other Terminator spin-offs are straight up sci-fi. Terminator 1, straight up horror, straight up slasher. Terminator is Mike Myers. This one is very controversial. We've discussed this in the past, but Kill Bill Volume 2 is considered to be the masterpiece of the Kill Bill. Kill Bill Volume 1 is
Whoa.
on my top.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Controversy.
I like
I like
Volume
2
1 better. So everybody likes 2 better. I'm the
Yeah.
only person that likes 1 better. But I think that from the moment that that Uma Thurman's character, the bride, arrives at that like insane bar where the crazy 88 are,
Yeah.
from the moment that she arrives there until the movie ends is the strongest, like, I don't know, 25 or 30 minutes, whatever it is, that Tarantino's ever done. I think I think that fight scene is insane. I think seeing her get her revenge in this brutal way is when I talk about how I don't understand revenge. Seeing it in other people's movies is cool with me. I just think that's Tarantino at his peak. I think it's super stylish. I think the music's amazing. The performances are awesome. I think the choreography is great. I love that sequence so much. I also, when I saw it in the theater and it cut to that anime sequence, I lost my mind. That movie was so much fun to see in a theater. I saw it on its opening night. I went back to see it the next day. I don't know how many times I saw it in the theater. I know I saw it 2 days back to back.
Psycho.
Blade Runner and Alien are both on there. I think actually, here's what I was trying to do. I put them next to each other because I was going to excise one of the Ridley Scott films. Because I was having a really hard time between A Clockwork Orange and 2001: A Space Odyssey, and The Shining. Honestly, like all three.
2001: A Space Odyssey gives me trauma, like PTSD. I can't do that movie, but
I love it so much. The Matrix, Metropolis, Heat, which you need to watch. Heat is an annual watch for me. I always watch it around the holidays for whatever reason. I guess because I have time. But I did something crazy a couple years ago. It was that new Scorsese movie had come out, The Irishman.
Yeah,
which is like two and a half, 3 hours long. I watched that, and then after, Netflix just suggested to me Heat, which is also like 3 hours long, and I just rolled them back to back, starting at like 11 o'clock at night.
That's
and
insane.
Had a blast. I mean, I guess it was giving me more De Niro, which I was definitely digging. Taxi Driver. Oh, wow, I've got two Scorsese on here too. Taxi Driver, Truman Show. Also, this is going to be really controversial. Lord of the Rings, Return of the King is considered the masterpiece. Fellowship of the Ring for me. All day long, I am a Fellowship of the Ring diehard. And then I've got, this is so incomplete. I can't do this. I've got Fight Club on here, but like, how can I not have Dirty Rotten Scoundrels? How can I not have, and how can I not have Trading Places? See, I will say this: there's not enough comedy on here. I think comedies are some of my favorite movies ever made. Like Trading Places, there is not a better movie than Trading Places. Why is it not in my top 10?
I don't know. I made a list of my top 20 on my Letterboxd, and genuinely, even that was super hard for me to do. Like,
let's do that. Let's expand this. Let's revisit this. Let's expand this to a top 20 and give really detailed reasons for why each one is there. And but that 20 has to be our definitive 20. We can't. I'm going to spend a lot of time with this.
Same.
This to me, I was in the middle of this. We probably shouldn't have even gone through it, but we did. We introed it. We're going to come back with a definitive top 20 for each of us. We're going to do a top 20 episode where we don't even see a new movie. We just do our top 20 and give reasons for why.
I also think like I didn't want to include newer movies because I feel like they haven't stood the test of time or whatever. But like movies like Saltburn, like there are so many new movies that I think are incredible that I didn't put on there just because they're like new. I don't know. Yeah, I have a lot of movies that I want to
Can
add.
I say my expectations are currently so high for Nosferatu that
Oh my god, yeah.
I feel like if the movie is 75% as good as the trailer, that will end up in my top 20. I cannot wait.
Yeah, I'm so like that's probably the movie I've been highly anticipating for the longest. Like yeah,
I considered actually putting Nosferatu on this list, but I felt I only had enough.
The original?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know.
God.
I don't know why I do this, but I decided I could only have one German expressionist film, and I went with Metropolis.
No, I did like the exact same thing because I'm thinking like, okay, like there are some like classic movies that I really like Casablanca, for example. I'm like, I can only have one of those. I can only really do like one documentary on this list, one rom-com.
Yeah, I didn't do any documentaries, which is odd.
Yeah. Well, Ascension is like probably one of the greatest movies I've ever seen in my life. So I had to put that on there. But
man, if I had to have a documentary, I bet my definitive top 20 will have a documentary on it.
I'm going to have like a lot.
Cool. I'm excited to do that. All right. Well, I'm going to get working on that list. Is there anything else we need to say about Gossip Girl and The OC?
Um, no, I just love Gossip Girl. I can't wait to finish the OC so that I can rewatch Gossip Girl.
Yeah, I think the point we were making before, which is just that I think we as a culture should be having more conversations about the things we actually like, not the things we think it's cool to like. Not the things we want
Yeah.
people to think we like, but the things we actually like. Because everybody, I had a friend say this to me at one point,
Uh-huh.
and it's really funny. He's like this like big, tough, like muscly dude, not the guy that you would think of this. And one day, I don't know why he said this to me, but he's like, "Hey man, do you have like one set of music you listen to when you're with your friends and another you listen to only when you're alone?"
So true. Oh my God. That's so good. Yes.
Yeah. And I don't know why I wasn't expecting this level of like sensitivity and introspection from this guy. And I immediately was,
Uh-huh.
yes, I absolutely do. Everyone has that. And I think that's, let's leave that era in the past and let's talk about the things we actually like and let's love them
Mm-hmm.
whether other people love them or not. And I think we'll find that more people really like these things than we think, that more people like different things than they are willing to admit.
I agree.
Cool. Well, with that, let us know what you thought about this very special episode as we prep our
This
next
is so
special
fun.
episode. It was
Yeah.
fun. Thanks. This is your idea. This is a good
I
one.
know. Have a lot of them.
All right. And on that note, we will see you again next week. Peace.
Swag money YOLO. That's my outro.